Have you ever used USBs in clubs before and experienced issues? Okay, it happens. Or perhaps you haven't used club gear yet, but you're open to it, but you're not 100% sure how to make the jump from controller to club and how it all works. Or maybe, and this happens a lot actually, that maybe you've actually turned up with a USB to a club, you've put it in and you can see your tracks, but every time you load the song, you can't see the waveform or the BPM. So in this video, I'm going to give you 5 steps to USB success to assure that when you hit the decks, you can load your playlist with effortless ease and use the screens on the CDJs in the same way that you'd use your computer when it's connected to your controller. So okay, let's jump in. This is a good video. Okay, the first thing to note is if you're playing in clubs and they have equipment there, the chances are it is Pioneer gear, and all pioneering clubs reads USB sticks. But this is where loads of people go wrong, okay? They think, oh cool, the club gear reads USBs, and what they do is they put their music directly onto the USB and they turn up, but then when they load the USB in, you can see your tracks like I mentioned before. But then when you load the track, you can't see the waveform or BPM, and then to make it load, you have to hit play, and it's just, man, I'll be honest, it's painful, it's a nightmare. So the first step to USB success is to pre-prepare your music using rekordbox. So now, I've got a rekordbox walkthrough video in my free mini course, so I'll link that in the description below. It's got a whole bunch of videos to help you get started as a DJ. But in short, what you do is you drag your music into rekordbox. rekordbox then analyzes your tracks for the waveform, BPM, and keys. And then once the tracks are analyzed and ideally sorted into playlists, right? You can then drag those playlists onto a USB stick, and then you turn up and you're good to go. Now, before I dive a little deeper into USB settings, one quick question though. Do you want to just drag playlists onto the USB stick, okay? Or do you want to first order the playlist, okay? And that means find tracks that go well together and perhaps even craft a pre-planned playlist. Now, I guess one advantage of having pre-planned playlists is you have got something to revert to if the going gets tough, okay? And in truth, the more prepared you are, the more confident you may feel, which is huge, especially as a beginner, you know, you want to feel confident. So if you decide that you do want to pre-plan a playlist and find tracks that go well together, I'd probably do that in rekordbox. So I go to export mode, then to player mode, and in there I'd find tracks that go well together, and then I'd place my tracks in a particular order by first selecting the number column, okay, and then dragging the tracks in the position that I want to play them. Now, once you have your playlist sorted, then it's just a matter of dragging those playlists relevant to the event that you're playing onto the USB stick and waiting for them to finish loading. Don't just think, oh, you gotta let it finish loading, okay? Then, if I was playing an event, I probably would have a playlist made especially for that event, but I'd probably also drag across other genre-specific playlists that I feel could be relevant to the event that I'm playing, as it's always good to be over-prepared, and I've got a ton of videos I've done before about, you know, what do you play next and stuff, so I'll link them in there. Now let's look at the actual USB settings. So to do this, click on your USB in the tree view inside of rekordbox, and inside here you can decide how you want to sort and even preview your tracks. So for instance, let's say you've analyzed your tracks for key using the Mixing Key software. And what Mixing Key often does is it puts those keys in the comments field in rekordbox. So you might then want to sort by comments on the actual gear here. So what you do is just go into sort and then actually select comments and move it over into the active sort options, meaning you can sort by comments on the gear. Now, the other thing you may want to change is the column. So for instance, I personally like putting the keys next to the track name. And to do this, I can select column and then key or comments depending on which field your keys are stored on your computer. However, if I was playing an open format event where the BPMs are all over the place, I may decide that the BPMs are more important than keys. So in which case, then I'd put BPM in the column section, and then that means the BPM will be displayed next to the track name. So I'll show you that in one sec. Now that we've loaded our playlist and updated our USB settings, we can safely eject the USB from our computer and then simply insert the USB into the CDJs. Now, most of the time there'll be a link cable at the back that connects one CDJ to the other, okay? And that means you can load the USB onto one player And then what you can do is you can link this side to that one, and you can use USB, like one USB for both players. But honestly, I would always turn up with a duplicate USB just in case the link cable at the back isn't working. Now, as for what USBs to use, I did a video about that a little while ago, but I'd avoid the USB 3.1s, and because they've had some issues. And I've always used the Ultra, like SanDisk Ultra 3.0s, but I did a video about that, so I'll link that in now. Then once I've loaded the USB, I can search by artist, album, track, and playlist. And once I've found the playlist I wish to play from, I can then go into the menu option and sort by default, which is the order that I put the tracks in Rekordbox, okay? Or you can sort tracks alphabetically or by BPM, or also comments, as we added that as a sort option before. Now then, once you load the track, it looks very similar to how it looks when you load a track using your computer. So in the sense, you can see the mini and big waveforms and the BPM. I guess the biggest difference is you have one screen though per player, as when that means you're unable to stack the waveforms, okay? Because if you've got one screen, you can stack the waveforms. So what it means then is, if the gear is older when you're turning up to play in a club, it may not have sync, and because you can't stack your waveforms, you are going to have to know how to beat match by ear, okay? So that's also in my free mini course, so I'll link that in below. Now, all in all, right, none of this is very difficult, and you'll honestly find the transition from controller to club is nowhere near as hard as you may imagine. As in my opinion, all DJ gear shares the same basic operations. I guess the main thing is some of the layout might be slightly different, but I promise you, okay, you're going to quickly adjust. But let's say, okay, you got a club show coming up and you're really nervous about it. I'll just ask the promoter if you can go in a little bit early before the doors open and quickly check that the USB works. Because the last thing you want to do is turn up 5 minutes before your set, only to find out that perhaps you haven't loaded your music or playlist correctly, or perhaps you only bought one USB stick but the link isn't working, you know. So remember, right, just you always want to try and be over prepared, okay? It makes things a lot more enjoyable, a lot less stressful. Anyway, hope you found that helpful, and please comment below any USB horror stories you may have had, or any advice that you may have for beginner DJs playing their first set. So thanks again for tuning in. See you next Monday.